Well, the formal sector created more jobs in the last quarter of last year. Stats SA data shows employment in the formal sector increased by 81,000 compared to the third quarter. This was largely due to increases in business services, government and manufacturing sectors. However, decreases in employment were recorded in the construction, mining and transport sectors. Compared to the same time last year, employment increased by 0.2% or 18,000 jobs. This is indicative of the tough economic times and the persistently high unemployment levels. Meanwhile, Stats SA has also released the labour market dynamics in South Africa for 2016, showing that employment levels increased by 2 million between 2010 and 2016. During the same period, the unemployment rate increased. The report also shows that the employed accounted for the largest share amongst the white population at 63% compared to 40% amongst black Africans. Unemployment is impacting the less educated more than those with tertiary education. While the Jobs Summit is underway in Midrand, we heard from President Ramaphosa, who launched this summit just a short while ago, and our reporter Diabo Sito is standing with President Ramaphosa. Diabo, good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Natasha. Well, it was a very, very energetic start to the launch of the Youth Employment Service that President Ramaphosa launched this morning together with his counterparts in labour and in business. But I won't waste your time because the President and Mr. Stephen Kosef, who's the CEO of Investec, are right here with me. And they are the two very, very important key players in this initiative, which promises at least 1 million jobs for youth who are unemployed. We know that this is a very, very big plague in the economy and also in the country. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Mr. President, may I start with you? This is a very, very big seed that you have sowed on the grounds of the economy and the grounds of South Africa. I'm sure you're very confident that it will dent unemployment.
Yes, no. We're very excited today and very pleased with the initiative that we have launched. This goes to show that when there's collaboration between business, government, labour and community, the results can be phenomenal. And today is clear proof of that. Everybody who was here, the youth, the business and labour, government, have all bought into this. And we're all working together to create this. What we started today can actually be characterized as a youth employment movement. It's going to steamroll and engage a number of companies and young people to get the young people to be employed, to be given the opportunity. Because what this gives them is hope. And that is an important thing. It gives them hope, but it also creates an opportunity and a pathway. For young people who are currently unemployed, it gives them that pathway, that opportunity. They can come into the world of work and learn a skill and and get experienced, and thereafter they polish up their CV. After that, they become more employable. And to have started with an initiative that will take in 1 million young people over 3 years is a phenomenal achievement. And it adds on to many other initiatives that we've got, but this is going to be the epicenter of what we do in terms of getting young people off the streets, getting them into the world of work. And I can just thank our colleagues in business, Mr. Stephen Kosef and Mr. Jabu Mabuza and others. They have played a huge role in getting us where we are today. So today we've launched something that is going to take South Africa forward in a very big way.
At least one economist is quite worried about the sustainability of it, because it's not the first time that we have such a vision of creating youth or denting youth unemployment. How do we make sure that the momentum goes on and it's not something that just somewhere along the line it just fades off?
Well, the phenomenal buy-in that we've got, the social compact that we've crafted today, is going to be the pillars of the sustainability that we want. That this is not a flash in the pan, that this is not going to happen once and disappear. And that is where the wisdom of having it over a 3-year period becomes real. Because we're going to run it for 1 year and bring in 300,000. And if we don't bring in 300,000, we will be able to double up the following year, because that's when we're going to get more and more companies to come in. So today, it's a movement that we've started, and we're going to be mobilizing more companies to come in. But it also is a movement that should give young people hope. We want to bring them into the hope arena, that they get out of, despondency, hopelessness, disappointment, and frustration. They must come into the arena of hope and then begin to look out for these opportunities, which they will find online, which they will find if they go and knock on our doors. And the beauty with this is going to be all over the country. It's not just going to be in the urban areas. And the companies that are partners with us in this are the ones who are also going to make it sustainable. They are successful companies, and they are not going to wallow in failure. We all want to succeed with this.
Let's hope they don't. Thank you for your time. I know that you do have to get going, President. Thank you very much. I certainly will. Mr. Stephen Kosef is still with me. He does not have to rush off just yet. A little birdie tells me that Investec has been very, very instrumental in this as a partner. You have been working extremely, extremely hard. What has been your vision? What would you like to see at the end of this 3 years that the President speaks about?
So I would hope the program goes on longer than 3 years, and that we're building an infrastructure in that will be there for much longer while there is an unemployment problem, and even maybe beyond, in helping people get placements, bringing service providers together with youngsters who are looking for work. So we can't absorb them all into the corporate sector, but the important thing is the township element. If we can create business in the township and close to people close to where they live, you really can get the thing up to scale. Also in the rural areas, one of the projects you saw today was in the rural areas, around saving the rhino and all the ecosystems that go around building a tourism industry that ensures that we still have the big five to offer to the international visitors. So there's many projects that can spin off this, and that's why we've created an infrastructure that is not just going to disappear overnight. It will be there as long as is necessary, and we have got very dedicated people who are there to actually drive this infrastructure.
Stephen, historically an issue of trust between government and business has always been a glaring one. How have you navigated through the trust issue between government, labour and business? It was very interesting and very encouraging to see all of you sitting there and all nodding to the same comments about growth and about that how important this is for the country. Trust issue.
So I'm a banker, and we always had a very good, strong relationship with both the central bank and with the National Treasury, because we know that the banking sector is the heart of a society. If something goes wrong with the banking sector, then the whole of society goes down with it, which we saw in the financial crisis in 2008. So we've always built a strong relationship with that part of government. I think it was other sides of government that were very suspicious, because they saw business as monopoly capital as opposed to business as a cause for good in a society. Government can't work without business, and business can't work without government. We need government to create an enabling environment, but to be business friendly. That's all we're asking from government. We can then run with the ball. We can then create jobs, we can create new ideas, we can bring in investment. Just like the President was talking about, foreign investment is going to be very important. But for that to work, you have to create an enabling environment that says, that's a good place for me to invest, because I've got protection of property rights. People are not going, I know that if I put my money in, I'm going to get a decent return, and I can help grow and stimulate. So it's a partnership. And I think many countries learned many years ago that you need to partner with the community, with labour, with government and business. Northern European countries do very well at this. They've got the social compact, and that's what's important for us, is to create a society where there is a social compact, where we understand that if an economy grows, it's good for business, but for the economy to grow, business has to play its role. It needs to invest, it needs to develop people, and that's how I see life.
I'm glad you're talking about the economy and it growing. We've just escaped a downgrade from Moody's, and the President also mentioned the issue that these kind of initiatives are the kind of initiatives that actually will encourage ratings to change the way they look at us and not to downgrade us and to affirm us, in other words. What is your take on that?
So I think that was a very important defense of our rating. It is very important, if you can avoid sub-investment grade, to avoid it, because you get a lot more funding if you're investment grade. Obviously we need Standard & Poor and Fitch to lift our rating back into the investment grade category, but that's going to require hard work. I think if you look at what happened in the financial crisis, our UK bank got downgraded to BBB minus negative outlook. We've taken 10 years on, took about 8 years to get the rating back up. We got to, and now we rated A, international scale rating. So it is hard work, but these kinds of initiatives with a government that is business friendly, with fiscal discipline, that's why, some of the initiatives that the previous Minister of Finance introduced, like the VAT hike, was very important at this stage of our development, because he had no more fiscal space. And that medium-term budget, we just showed debt to GDP going up, and I thought I'm going to have a heart attack. At least now you're seeing the curve come down. And for the rating upgrades, we need to show that our fiscal situation is sustainable, and that then what happens, the benefit for society is your interest rates come down, and your currency strengthens, and then your imports are cheaper. So you get a lot more space as a society to grow and develop. So that's why discipline is very important, no matter where you are in life, in business, in government, as individuals. Discipline is a key thing. So Tashmia had something on her thing called grit. It's all around self-discipline.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kosef. Thank you very much for availing your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Mr. Stephen Kosef. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Investec Bank. He had joined me earlier with the President, just affirming the issue of the Youth Employment Service that was launched this morning. It got up to a very, very energetic start, and throughout the day we will be bringing you guests who have joined us, including the beneficiaries of the employment service. These are the young ones that have had the opportunity. The first 100 will, at least I'll get 3, can't get all 100 here, but it'll be very interesting to find out how they see this service and this initiative and what they make of it. But for now, it's back to the studio.
Diabo, thanks so much. Our Diabo Sito live for us from Midrand at the launch of Yes, or the Youth Employment Service, and as she says, we'll get more from her coming up in the later bulletin.